To support this podcast, go to positivesarcasm.com/donate. Any amount is appreciated. Once again, positivesarcasm.com/donate. Thank you and enjoy the program. Jay here, positivesarcasm.com, recorded here from the Spare Parts Studio alongside New Hampshire's beautiful seacoast. Like, subscribe, share, donate. Positivesarcasm.com/donate. Any amounts appreciated. You can hit me up on Instagram at @positive_sarcasm. You can email me directly, positivesarcasm@outlook.com. Just make sure you leave a subject matter, for God's sakes. Or just go to my website, contact me there at positivesarcasm.com. The contact section, you can fill out some of your information. It's not used for any marketing purposes, and I do not share your data. But if you want to email me there for all your questions, concerns, comments, or requests, you can email me there as well. Happy September. It's coming towards the end of September. Last week I did a serious podcast. Everybody needs to calm down. I understand that there are people out there that are getting a better understanding of the situation where we could be going into some wild times, more wilder than they already are. I understand a lot of people have valid points, but we definitely need to talk. Right now people are, so I totally get where people do need to talk. They do need to talk. All right, so actually, I got to write something down. It's like, okay, everybody in the middle. All right, so we're going to write that down, middle. And then everybody else, so left and right. And then those, okay, let's just X them out. There we go. All right, so the way the conversation should be, and I think it was Brett? No, it was Eric Weinstein. Brett's great. He's brilliant. I love Brett. And his wife, too, Heather Heying. They're both absolute geniuses. Evolutionary biologists and people who understand history quite well. Eric is a different cat. Eric is a very different cat. But ultimately, when he talks, there's some things that he says I don't understand. But the things that he does put in plain English, it's like, okay. So people do need to talk. And there's some people who haven't had a chance to have a microphone or just a voice in general that can be heard. Now is the time more than ever for, you can take off if you want, Chase, no big deal, that they do get a chance to talk. But when some people actually have a subject matter they want to come up with, the first words out of their mouth, it's like, imagine like, you think Beethoven like just got behind a piano and you shake my nerves and you rattle my brains. No, I'm pretty sure the first time that Beethoven hit the piano, it was probably like ma 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 ma. Because you're not fantastic. Where are you going, buddy? You going back out? All right, you let me know what you want me to do. Love you. I love you. The whole world knows I love you. There you go. It's a good stretch. You take your time and fill up as much podcast segment as you absolutely need to, okay? All right? Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. I am closing my legs now on the podcast as you go and walk away and, derp up another piece of material or clothing that you want to lay on or whatever. Anyways, back to what I was saying. What was I saying? The first time a person gets a chance to grab a microphone, grab a video camera, grab a guitar, grab a piano, grab a seat in politics, you're not going to be great at it. Matter of fact, you're going to be terrible at it. And you're probably going to be terrible at it for a very long time. So, honestly, do you expect a lot of these people to be any good at voicing their opinions? Especially if they're trying to run before they crawl or walk. And I get it. Some of these people don't want to hear don't want to hear anyone else's opinions when it's their first time trying to voice their own. So it's like, all right, they want to get all of their opinion out as aggressively and as agreeably and as uninterrupted as possible. So when you see like a first-time politician or a freshman student or a sophomore student in college, or who knows, and they're like, and they're just like a deaf person. They're the want lady from Peanuts, the Charlie Brown show. Wah 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 wah. That's what they are. And if you interrupt them in any way, shape, or form, they're like, and they just want to get louder and more aggressive, and then they will curse you for, which you shouldn't interrupt them, but maybe you're trying to guide them, but don't guide them. Let them get it out of their system as long as it's not incitement. So let's put this into a simplistic form for everybody to understand. And my family has experience in what the difference is between freedom of speech and incitement to violence. Okay. My family, okay, has experience in this, legal experience, okay, in the difference in freedom of the press, or freedom of speech, which includes freedom to journal in your own opinion and post news and information like that, and the difference of libel, incitement, defamation of character. My family has experience in that. So, if a person in Congress, or a person at a debate in college, or a person at a town hall walks up to the microphone and says, "I don't like you, I think you're a piece of shit." Well, a little unbecoming, or maybe they say something a little less aggressive, or maybe they say something incoherent, or maybe they say something racist, or whatever. As long as they are not inciting others to do harm upon you, it's essentially legal for them to say. All right. Now I'll try to give you as much context as I can with the amount of studying that I've done. Okay. As long as you're not inciting violence, you are protected by the First Amendment as far as freedom of speech. You are allowed to say what you want. Now, you do have essentially shareholders who are invested in you. You may not be invested in the stock market, you may not, but understand, you are invested in something. You may be invested in a relationship, you may be invested in your dog, you may be invested in a house, and invested in a car, invested in a watch, invested in your job. Well, remember, your job is invested in you. Your car is invested in you. Your car is invested in the idea. It runs because you put oil in it, you put gas in it, or you charge it. Okay? You do regular maintenance to it. You keep it clean. Your car only runs because you take care of it and you look after it. Your dog eats, sleeps, thrives, smiles. It's relying on you to take care of it. Therefore, it knows that you love it. Therefore, it loves you. Your relationship, same thing. You are invested in them. Therefore, they should be invested in you. Your job. If you say something and it goes out in public and it is mild, maybe your job talks to you. Maybe your job doesn't say anything. But you understand, if you say something that is protected by the First Amendment, okay, you go out and you say, I hate a certain creed, color, or religion. Or you celebrate something that maybe you shouldn't. Well, remember, your job is invested in you. They own shares in you. And that one share, maybe 40, 50, 60, 70, $100,000 a year. And that doesn't include 401k matching. That doesn't include health insurance, dental insurance, liability, things like that. So if you go and you say something or you celebrate something online, you're entitled to say it. As long as it doesn't incite violence, you're allowed. It's a basic human right as we interpret it through the United States Constitution, through the Bill of Rights, through the First Amendment. Your job, however, when you say something and it is wild, or quite frankly to the point where it's not the image that your job wants to have reflected on it, yeah, they can suspend you and they can fire you. They're invested in you. And if they feel that your stock has gone down and the money that they pay you and the benefits that they supplement to you are no longer worth keeping you around, they can get rid of you. Okay? And for many different reasons. And they could say it's one thing or another because, quite frankly, there's so many lawyers at jobs nowadays. It's like, well, what's the best thing that we can say to this person to ultimately show them the door without any or with as little legal blowback as possible? Have you ever seen the movie Up in the Air with George Clooney and Anna Kendrick? It's a great way of looking at it. The way they're ultimately hired to travel across the country and fire and lay off people, and they're professionals at doing it so that the company suffers as little legal blowback as possible. So if you say something and your company gets a whiff of it and they decide to terminate you, and it's like, well, I said that and that was pretty stupid, and I am legally allowed to say that in the United States, but my job's a different entity. Because it's not, you have to understand, look at it this way. I'm gonna kind of play this out in my head. I have other notes, but I'm gonna play this out in my head. The United States Constitution, the Bill of Rights, all the amendments, the United States is founded on the individual's right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of meaning. Some people say happiness, but I like to put in meaning. Find meaning first. Within there, you'll find a little bit of happiness. But ultimately, the United States was designed for the individual. A company comprises of a collective, a team, a group. Now, an individual can thrive within the company, but ultimately, the company has to survive and look good on paper and look good in real life and look good enough to bring in the right people that are going to help the company move along. Its image matters. Its profit line matters. Its long-term goals matter. Its short-term goals matter. Ultimately, in the company's goals, the company is more important. So if you say something that makes the company look bad and possibly either lowers your stock value or lowers the company's stock value through private investors or public investors, they're going to get rid of you, or they're going to suspend you to at least teach you a lesson. Now, suspension generally nowadays is administrative leave. It's leave with pay. So you go home, they do an internal investigation, you're getting paid, and then at the end they decide what they're going to do. What they're actually doing is they are rounding up all the information, consulting with their lawyers, and seeing if they have enough information to basically discharge you, to terminate you, to release you. But if they don't, they're going to sit you down, they're going to talk to you, and bring you back to work. Or they may not even say anything because, quite frankly, they legally can't because their lawyers are advising against it. But quite frankly, if you make the stock company value go down, they're not going to look at you as an individual. They're going to look at the company, the collective, and they're going to decide what's the best way for us as a company to move forward and distance ourselves from this image that has been put upon us by those who decided to dox this person and bring them to light. Look, if you're going to put yourself in the public sphere, people are going to want to know more about you, and quite frankly, at this point, they're going to dox the shit out of you. Am I a fan of doxing? Not really. I'm not a fan of it. I don't call a fan of it. I don't have a one of those foam fingers I point up and go, yeah, doxing's number one. I understand why it's there. I don't go out of my way to do it. I get why people do it. It's kind of a tit for tat kind of thing. And it's very common right now because, quite frankly, people are pissed. So understand that First Amendment in terms of an individual's rights and a company's goals are very, very different. So if a company decides to fire somebody, I'm going to write another note here. Let's see. Will Smith and Chris Rock. We'll see if we ever get to that. I didn't get any sleep last night. Apologies. Now, so those are two very, very different things. A company's goals versus an American citizen's right to speech. Now, I understand if you are not a green card holder, or if you are not an American citizen and you're here on some type of, passport, visa status or whatever, and you say some stupid shit, if you don't align with the American collective, then the United States, which is basically another company, that's another business in general, and if they decide that you, as a non-American citizen, are not going to promote the best interests of the company, yes, they can fire you. How do they fire you? They revoke your visa. What happens then? You get fired from America. So and I'm just putting this out there as I see it, not my opinion. It's how it's kind of interpreted or how it's laid out. Like, you have your individual rights. They should always be there. I understand there's amendments, but ultimately the founding paperwork, there's a reason that we have a lot of judges for that. We're trying to hold on to that. But a company's different. A company cannot violate your individual rights. But they have the right to pursue their own interests in order to benefit the company and ultimately the other employees who also work there. So keep that in mind. Just wanted to kind of, there might be a comma at the end of that sentence. Maybe there's a period, but I think you get the idea. So that's the individual's right to speech. When it comes to incitement to violence, if you say, I don't like this, or I don't like them, that's free, 100%. If you say things that are hateful, or belittling, or demeaning, or racist, or sexist, or whatever, also free speech. Sunlight is the best disinfectant. That's free speech. It's could be interpreted as disgusting, but like same thing with Destiny. A lot of the things that I see from Destiny, I see a troubled individual. Quite frankly, I kind of find him gross. I think he's, from the way he constantly interprets himself online, kind of a piece of shit. His company, Twitch, doesn't work for the company, but he streams on there. They fired him. He said some pretty gross shit. Almost to the point of incitement, For example, Republicans should be scared of getting shot at rallies, blah, 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 blah. Okay, well, how do you interpret that? Well, Twitch probably did not interpret that as a violation of the First Amendment, but it was a violation of their terms and agreements of using their platform in order to stream online and generate revenue and talk with their fan base. That is not a First Amendment violation. They are looking out for the benefits of their own company, so they shit-canned him, essentially saying, you can't be here anymore, or at least for now. And then he cried about, oh, my money. There goes all my money. It's like, sorry, you're still protected by the First Amendment, Destiny, but Twitch doesn't give a shit about that. Discord doesn't give a shit about that. YouTube doesn't give a shit about that. They have their way of doing things. Now, there may be double standard there. It definitely has come back in the opposite direction many of times. But you understand understand that point. So that's incitement to violence. I don't like this person. I think we should fill in the blanks. Well, that's not going to work. That is no longer, if you say, I'll just put an example. I don't like black people, so we should do X, Y, and Z. Okay, I don't like Jews, so I think we should do X, Y, and Z. Well, that's not a good idea. Not only is it a good idea, it's a violation of the First Amendment. Okay. Doxing people to the point where you expose somebody to potential harm. This is where they are. This is where they live. Go get them. That's an incitement. Okay? You are edging towards having somebody potentially hurt. You don't want to violate somebody's own individual life, liberty, and pursuit by putting out their name, address, their next of kin, all that stuff that potentially hurts them as far as their life and liberty. That's incitement to violence. Now, as far as other things, now, if You don't incite violence upon a person, but you say things that are untrue. Also can get fired from your job. Also, not incitement to violence, but there are such things as slander and libel. So if you are talking shit about somebody and you say things that are untrue that have to be proven in court that this defamation through slander or libel hurt them financially, emotionally, physically, ultimately hurt them. That can be, they can come after you civilly, for sure, and I think criminally. I'd have to double check on that. Once again, I'm not a lawyer, but here's the thing. If you're saying things that are untrue, you can say that under the First Amendment. You're allowed to say that. You better be ready to back it up with evidence, though. Because if you don't have evidence, if you say untrue things, the First Amendment's going to stop protecting you once they find out that the information the stuff that you've claimed, there's not enough information to back that up. And if they can prove that you were just saying things to just basically bring a person down, that's no bueno. You're going to be in trouble. You better have evidence. So do yourselves a favor. Like I said, people who are just talking for the first time, playing guitar for the first time, Beethoven hitting the piano for the first time, you kind of got to let them finish. If they are just talking to talk and they haven't incited violence, they may be making some claims that are inaccurate. You can correct them after the fact, as long as they shut up and let you correct them after the fact, or you begin a cordial debate with them. Cool. Let them talk. They'll learn eventually. Like I said, don't try to start running before you don't know how to crawl or walk. It's like, okay, you're going to trip over yourself. So that's the thing. So incitement, not protected under the First Amendment. The job, your company's best interest, you're not protected under the First Amendment for that. Slander and defamation, libel, not protected. If you can't provide evidence to back it up, Bridget McCrone has a penis. Now, on top of that, but allowing these people in the middle to talk. There's a lot of people that they're just too busy, too overwhelmed, too emotionally exhausted. They're not getting a chance to talk because over here is screaming and over here is screaming. And Eric Weinstein essentially said, look, if people want to have an honest dialogue, generally one-on-one is the best way, maybe with a moderator, to kind of get information and thoughts and feelings across in a best way. And that's the best way for both parties to understand each other, move forward, shine light on the situation. But while two people are talking and then other people are screaming in the background from both sides, those are the people that need to be pushed aside and be like, you're not helping the conversation and you're not helping the conversation. Okay? Those calling for the canceling of Jimmy Kimmel should be pushed aside. Those celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk need to be pushed aside. Like, they need to be, you're not part of the conversation. You're not helping. None of you are helping. None of you are solving anything. None of you are helping calm things down. None of you are doing anything to help the situation. You're not hitting the piano for the first time. You're fucking sledgehammering the piano. You're destroying the piano. You're destroying this beautiful piece of music equipment. You're not, like I said, you're not helping. You're not being productive. People who choose to destroy, people who use the First Amendment to destroy rather than create, are people I don't want around. And when I say I don't want around, I don't mean like purge them from society. I mean purge them from my daily existence, whether they are on the radio, on the television, on the YouTubes, on my block where I walk my dog. You change the channel. You don't acknowledge them when you walk by your house. You don't engage with them. You unsubscribe from them. You just ultimately, okay. And you know they exist because you once maybe were a fan of theirs, a friend of theirs, in relationship with them. You worked for them. But you have to move on from them. Because they're just not, it's not working. It's not working. but you don't cast them out as far as like you have to cast them out of your own life. But that's as far as you go. Because ultimately they're going to have to learn. If they are at fault, not you. We'll get to you. If they're at fault for the things they said or done, they'll have to learn. But the only way they're going to learn is if somebody talks to them. Somebody sits them down and goes, okay, here's the deal. What were you thinking? Why'd you say that? Blah, 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 blah. But not in a, I mean, it can get to a confrontive fashion. Like, okay, sit down. We got to talk about this. Like a fucking child. I mean, you got to be put in timeout sometimes. But as a child, it's like, okay, sit down. Why do you feel like this? Why do you feel like that? On an individual level, talk to me. You can reach people. You can talk to people. You can. It's very doable. But some people, unfortunately, right now are acting like children. A lot of them. A lot of people. And not just college students. We're talking about fully grown adults that are freaking out. And unfortunately, some of them need to be put in timeout. What do I mean about timeout? Well, some of them last week and continuing on said some very terrible things. They're being put on administrative leave or they're being fired. They said some stuff the companies didn't like, the internet didn't like, and ultimately they got put in timeout. Some of them, like Antifa, breaking glass, destroying public property, attacking police officers, throwing bricks at ICE vehicles, doing lots of things they shouldn't be doing. Other people doing things they shouldn't have, doxing people in a way that could potentially lead to harm. These people are not being put in timeout. They're being put in jail, which is an adult version of timeout. Because if you are 26 years old, if you're 42 years old, if you're 59 years old, and you act like a child, there's no adult timeout. There's just, well, there is, but it's not like you're going to sit in this corner and think about what you did. No, you're going to sit in this jail cell for 12 hours and think about what you did and talk to the judge in the morning. Or you're going to get put on administrative leave and have to explain yourself to your superior after a 2-week investigation into what you said or did online that led to the company being like, oh, we got to protect our image. Or you just say, hey, that was so egregious. It's all out in plain sight. We can't have you here. That's adult timeout. That's a time for self-reflection. The question is, do you become more extreme for that? Do you double down with your opinions? Depends on who you are. If you believe that you're in the right, then you go down the rabbit hole. Some people are. A lot of these people I'm seeing lately aren't. But a lot of these people right now, I mean, like, obviously with everything going on, I feel like lately everybody's running in this strafing pattern. Nobody's moving forward. There's no forward motion. A lot of people just run in a strafing pattern. They run from Ukraine to Trump to Israel, and then they run to this person, and then that assassination, and then the doxing, and they just back and forth. Outrage city to outrage city, COVID, all this stuff. Boom, 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 boom. Just hot points, talking points. And they never learn anything. They never move forward. They forget to, financially take care of themselves, emotionally take care of themselves, physically take care of themselves. Not doing any good. Adults should be adults. They shouldn't be acting like children. They shouldn't be saying very childish and demeaning and terrible things online. They shouldn't. I can't tell you what to say. I can't tell you what to do. I have no dictatorial powers over here. The only dictatorial powers I have is the roof over my head. That's it. That's where I am king. Okay. That's it. That's where I say goes. Nowhere else. And quite frankly, that's not a terrible thing, and quite frankly, I like it. Now, as I stated, people acting like children. Like I said, Destiny, I find him to be a piece of shit. I do. I think a lot of the things he said was terrible. I remember he had an epic debate, epic fucking firefight verbally with Dr. Jordan B. Peterson, who I admire greatly. 12 Rules for Life and Beyond Order, another 12 Rules. And Jordan Peterson kicked the shit out of him. Verbally. Stomped him. Destiny said he loves debating. He's a great debater. Well, just because you're a great debater doesn't mean you're coming with the knowledge that you need to basically go up against somebody who has spent their entire adult life studying behavioral psychology, understands human thought pattern. You're not going to win that fight. If you want to fight. Another thing, it's like, listen, those who understand war don't want war. Those who understand how actually a fight happens, don't ask for fights. Do you see MMA fighters walking around kicking the shit out of each other across the streets of the United States? No, you don't. You don't. You don't see blue belts and purple belts and brown belts and black belts and Golden Gloves boxers and amateur boxers. You don't see them walking around, jiu-jitsu experts, kicking the shit out of it, just walking around the street and like, I'm looking for a fight with anybody I disagree with. No, they're not. They're not doing it. It's slim to none. You learn a move, you want to show off the move. You know 10 moves, you think to yourself, that person might know 20. The person who knows 20, be like, I think that person next to me knows 21. So it's like, those who know war don't want war. Those who know how to fight don't want to fight. Those who fight for a living don't want to fight when it's not applicable to them. It's like, we're not doing this. They can be like this. It's not in my system to get it out. So that's like, there are people out there who want to fight. And like I said, the people in the middle, there's the people on the extreme sides. They want to fight. They want to fight. The question is, do they know how to fight? And there's imposters, those people who know how to fight that are maybe trying to put something out because they want to present a label. They want to present an image. It's like, no, don't do that. It's not necessary. There are times in my life where I've had to stand up for myself and had to take the fight to somebody. But, very little of it was physical. A lot of it was just legally. I've had my fights, but they were mostly like mental and legal. And those battles are over. They're over. It's done. I don't want to have more fights. I want to just sit here and watch the birds chirp as I mow the lawn. I'm not looking for fights. I just come up here to process. I come and sit here and I caffeinate up so I can talk shit, or maybe not talk shit. Maybe just give you guys some ideas about what I learned recently about how something maybe you can do to better yourself. I'm not going to sit here and call for the cancellation of Jimmy Kimmel. Why would I want to do that? I don't watch his show. He's already canceled in my mind. He was canceled in my mind 5 years ago. And he's going to be fine. Like, financially. The guy's loaded. But I'm just saying, I'm not here calling for the cancellation of him. I don't watch. I just don't. I don't find their clips on Instagram. It's not really in my feed. So I don't pay attention to it. So in my mind, basically, it doesn't exist. He's not a neighbor of mine. I don't see him every day. We don't go to the same gym. So it's not a thing. So I don't call for his cancellation because he's not impeding on my life and liberty. Now, is he a funny guy? Yeah, of course he is. Of course he's a funny guy. Is he an entertaining guy? Absolutely he's an entertaining guy. He's also a father and a husband, a member of his community. The guy, he's best friends with Adam Carolla. I listened to Adam Carolla's podcast for years. I saw Adam Carolla live with Gina Grad and Paul Bryan, and I laughed my ass off. It was great. Loved that. I loved seeing that live. It was awesome. I don't think Gina was there, but Paul Bryan definitely was. And ultimately, it's like, can Jimmy Kimmel come back? Of course he can. It was a mild joke. Now, don't get me wrong, he's been towing that line for years. And ultimately, he just, unfortunately, like so many other names, Louis C.K., Shane Gillis, Roseanne Barr, they just got caught in the crossfire. It's like, it was a bad time. It was a bad time, and quite frankly, you caught the bullet, whether you deserved it or not. And that, caught the bullet. Probably bad. Probably, yeah. I don't mean it like that, but ultimately, like financially, professionally, like there was a little bit. Same thing. What's crazy is, well, I'll finish this point. Ultimately, he said something about it. It didn't go well, and quite frankly, he was in a position where, he had 130,000 viewers per show. Even though it's a late night show. So I don't know if you can compare it to when Tucker Carlson was at his prime. He had millions of views every show that he did when he was on Fox. And Tucker's job on that show, on his show, Tucker Carlson, when he was on Fox, his job was to give like facts and give his opinion. And, to some argument, that's what he was doing. That's what he was paid to do, and he did it. But he did get fired. He did get canceled because he was saying some things. But that was his job. And he still got canceled. Or fired, essentially. He didn't actually get canceled. He just got shit canned. But he's now, once again, bigger than ever. But he started out as a flunky. Tucker Carlson started out as a kind of a flunky. He was on Crossfire. Crossfire was an old, crappy, four-person arguing, one of those four people arguing type of show on CNN where he wore the fucking crazy bow tie and all they did was sit and yell at each other. And then Jon Stewart went in there and basically just talked down to them. And after that, the show was like, all right, well, we look stupid. And they just canceled it and they said, fuck it, it's not worth it. That's where Tucker came from. And he ultimately said on multiple shows that he kind of regrets some of the things that he stood behind, like the war in Iraq. He was ashamed of standing behind that. And okay, so he's had changes in heart or changes in perspective. And ultimately, you want to see people grow. Like I said that last week, it's like you wanted to see Charlie Kirk grow. You want to see people grow. You understand a lot of these people you see on shows and podcasts and news networks. Some of them are young and they haven't had a chance to go first circle and understand their perspectives. It's like when I watched George Carlin, from when he started to what he was before he passed away. There was the arc of comedian George and great writer George Carlin. It was amazing. His arc was spectacular. It was the man, the government, the owners of this country, hippy dippy stuff, cursing. It was just amazing, to see how he turned, and he had this very much full circle about his opinions on things. And it's a man who went through a lot of trauma in his own personal life, where a lot of personal struggles with his mother, when it came to religion, his addiction to drugs, his wife passing too early, unfortunately, and him basically dying on the road. God bless him. But Tucker came back. Got bigger than ever, lost his show, but came back, started his own show, and now he's huge. He's huge again, and he has different perspectives. There's some people that don't align with him and don't agree with everything he says, but it's like, and he's been threatened. There's people, there were people knocking on his door, where his address, where his family lives, and it's wild. Jimmy Kimmel didn't have nearly the amount of views that Tucker Carlson had, but here's the thing. One was an evening show, like 6, 7 o'clock. People are still alive at that hour. Who the hell's up at 11 o'clock at night to hear Jimmy Kimmel? So what do you expect? You're going to have a deteriorating audience by then. It's all just pattern. It's like you see the same old person go to the same crappy breakfast place for fucking 30 years. It's just routine. This is where I go. I go here every Saturday. Waffles suck. Pancakes are flat. Fucking eggs are gross. But this is where I go. Yep. Frank comes here every Saturday and gets his blah, blah, blah with the burnt toast. I watch Jimmy Kimmel every night. I watch Tucker Carlson every night. Whether it's good or not, you're going to have your people that just tune in because they tune in. Well, I don't know why they fired Jimmy. I saw the joke and it's like, whatever. It's just, to me, it's the same overdone burger that I would expect from him. And it's like, okay, fine. But it's the outrage to that I compare to, well, I don't know if I compare it to, but it kind of reminds me of when Chris Rock threw a mild joke out there against Jada Pinkett Smith. And the response was such an overcorrection of Will Smith walking up on stage during the Oscars and straight up assaulting one of the best comedians to ever live. Smacking him right in his face in front of everybody. And at the end, when Will Smith got up again later that night, everybody stood and clapped for him. It's like, hold on a second. That man wasn't even put in timeout. He wasn't put in timeout. He wasn't arrested. He wasn't put on administrative leave. He was celebrated. Yay, Will Smith's back up again. Fuck you, Chris Rock. You were never one of us anyways. They celebrated him. He was never put in timeout. He was never put in adult timeout. So what do you expect? Little mild-mannered joke that wasn't funny from Jimmy Kimmel upon 1,000 fucking jokes that his shitty writers write for him. Remember, a lot of those guys, Bill Maher, I don't have anything really against Bill Maher. I kind of like Bill Maher. But I'm just saying in general, like, a lot of these guys, they just have writers for them in general. They have these late-night guys. They don't come up with the jokes themselves. They write some, but ultimately they have writers that come up for them. And it's like, here, they just deliver the punchlines. They deliver the jokes. And unfortunately, Jimmy's got some shitty writers, I guess. And those shitty writers cost him his job because, like I said, the overcorrection, what goes around comes around. And he got fired. Should Jimmy come back? Sure. Why not? Or maybe it was just an excuse. It's like, you know what? Maybe we can find somebody better to... Because quite frankly, maybe he was costing the company money. Was it ABC? I think he works for ABC, CBS. I don't know, one of the three-letter fucking... But ultimately, it's like he got fired, and maybe it was because, well, this is a reason to fire him. Like I said, he said something maybe he shouldn't have, or it was just... It fell flat. Nobody laughed. And he got shit-canned. And it's like, you know what? We've been waiting to get rid of him for a while. So maybe this is just a reason to get rid of him. That's maybe what the company was thinking. Because remember, they're a company. They're looking out for the collective. They got other shows on that network that they need to invest in and support. And this one's not helping us. What do? We give him a little spanking. We put him in timeout. Or we fire him. But remember, a lot of them come back. Remember Louis C.K.? Punching his clown in front of chicks that he asked permission to? He got shit canned from his own work, from his own fucking show. Had to cancel all his tour dates. He's back. It's bigger than ever. I'm going to see him in October. He's huge. He's huge. He's loaded. He's got plenty of money. He's fine. Just saying, you can come back. Shane Gillis canceled over a joke. Shane Gillis is wild, by the way. One of the funniest concerts, one of the funniest comedy shows I've ever been to. Shane Gillis, by the way. Fucking hilarious. He's got tons of money. He saved Budweiser, by the way. He saved Anheuser-Busch when they did that whole freaking Bud Light boycott. Who'd they hire? They hired Shane Gillis. He ended up going back on SNL. He's not canceled. He's huge now. He's unstoppable. He got canceled. He's fine. I mean, Roseanne Barr, she said some shit on Twitter, which is now X, while she was all fucking ripped up on Ambien about some politician or something. They fired her from her own show. How do you have a show called Roseanne without Roseanne? They tried. Don't get me wrong, they tried. She's fine, though. She's back in the comedy. She's got her own little podcast thing. She's friends with great intellectuals like Michael Malice. She's fine. She's definitely opinionated. But she's always been that. Roseanne has always been Roseanne. Always. You should expect that from her. Okay? A woman's gone through a lot in life, but she is fine. Jimmy Kimmel can be fine. He can get his show back. He can get a show back, or he can start a new show. He could write a book. He can direct a movie. He can start his own podcast. He can create his own. This might be a good thing for him. It's like, dude, get away from those, Jimmy, get away from those shitty writers, that shitty network, and go do something else. Jay Leno proved that you can do it. Adam Carolla, you proved you can do it. Why don't you go sit down with Adam Carolla? One of your closest friends in life. Go sit with him and talk with him. Just sit down with him and go and just hash out what happened. I'd listen. That's the thing, is I would listen. I'd want to hear what you had to say. When Chris D'Elia was screwing around on his wife and he came back and he was honest about it, I sat and I listened to the whole thing and I went, I get it. I get it. And he came back. And now Chris D'Elia is huge. It's not that he wasn't huge before, but he's huge now. His podcast is fucking hilarious. Everybody fucking loves him. He stays where he wants to stay as far as his pocket's concerned because that's where his brain focuses on. I saw his show. He was funny. The guy behind me ruined it because he was fucking annoying with his stupid, over laugh, ha! And he sucked, but Chris was great. Chris was funny. Chris is always funny. And he's still married. He worked on his relationship. He worked on himself. He's got a kid. He's doing his thing. It's great. Awesome. You want people to succeed. Not everybody who rises to the top, you don't want to, shouldn't have to want to knock them down. Let them keep rising. I don't have a problem with that. You know what Jimmy could do? If Jimmy really wanted to fucking just blow the internet up, go do another Man Show. Go restart the Man Show with Adam Carolla. That would be insane. Like, I'm going back to my roots. Try it. Try it. You'd get attention, that's for sure. But yeah, he got fired. I don't think it's a good thing. To me, it seems like an overcorrection. But ultimately, he had an employer. Just like all these people who celebrated Charlie Kirk's death, they had an employer. Jimmy Kimmel has an employer. Jimmy Kimmel's employer decided, for one reason or another, that it was not worth keeping him on the payroll. So they probably gave him the money for his remaining amount of his contract and fired him. Or suspended him, who knows? But ultimately, it's like, to them, Jimmy Kimmel's a drop in the bucket. They'll just go find somebody else. They don't care. They're just going to go find somebody else. But Roseanne had huge ratings. So firing Roseanne was kind of stupid. Like, keeping, like, that one, it's like, all right, why'd you do that? Louis C.K. Louis' show was phenomenal. That one, they could have, like, let it simmer on the stove for a little bit, kind of let that thing pass, and then brought it back. Because Louis' show was fantastic. It was really something else. And it gave a lot of comedians, like, a chance in the spotlight a little bit. Like comedians like Nick DiPaolo and Doug Stanhope, they got, like, they got work in that show, which was great. So you were exposed to other comics as well, which is a cool thing. Just like Joe Rogan's podcast or Kill Tony, you're exposed to different comics, and you're like, ooh, I like them, and you kind of catch their wave, and you're like, this is funny, this is my type of comedy. They're creating something. Ultimately, it's like, I don't want people getting destroyed. I don't. If you're not straight up violating the First Amendment, I don't want these people getting destroyed. If you are trying speech out for the first time, if you're trying your First Amendment speech out for the first time, and you fuck up, but you don't violate it, okay, we can work with this. But ultimately, if you're inciting, if you're violent, if you're threatening, you got to be put in adult timeout. You got to be sometimes arrested or detained. It's like, sit down and calm down. Ultimately, we want to steer everybody into a place where they can at least talk. All right? Everybody lives in different towns or different states for reasons. So, lots of reasons. I like being here because I like being here for a multitude of reasons. I like doing what I do or need to do what I do for a multitude of reasons. Other people don't see things like I do. But here's the thing is I have friends. I have friends who they're very different. I don't know, they see things maybe not where I am, but they're kind of over, like they're looking at the same thing, but they're looking at it standing next to me or standing across the room from me. And I get it. And these people reach out to me. I'm friends with these people. I'm close. I'm like, these are great people. Some of them they're great dads or they're great husbands. And I look up to them and I go, you know, like my buddy Turcott, I mean, we definitely, like, at the end of the day, it's like, who gives a fuck? Like, he's a great father. He's a great husband. He's got he had the American dream years before, decades before I did. Like, he had the house, big house with a white picket fence, beautiful family. He figured it out. He knew what he wanted. But he focused on that. Never really took anything too seriously. You know, deep down, a lot of things were a joke to him. He loves jokes. He enjoys comedy. He likes funny. And he understands me because I've always been transparent with him as far as just in stuff in general. I would never want to cancel him. I would never want to take food off of his plate or, you know, compromise his family dynamic. I would never want to do that. I would never wish ill or try to give ill upon somebody who has, in my opinion, doesn't deserve it. So I want ultimately everybody to just calm down. I don't want the people inciting who are, kind of using the threat of violence as a pedestal to kind of like, you guys got to prepare because this stuff's going down. It's like, that's not. I get it. I understand. We need to ultimately be calm. But if you are kicking down glass, breaking down doors at a college, if you are threatening to kill people at an institution, if you are saying something about a race or a creed or whatever to the point where, or excommunicating people for the purposes of they don't see things the way you do, then ultimately you need to be put in timeout. The rules and the laws need to be enforced and need to be put in timeout. Seriously, in some cases, pretty badly. Like in Utah, this fucking kid who did a very bad thing. That motherfucker's never going to see daylight again. Ever. And it's not time out. He's out of time. And I get why people they're saying like the next guy is going to come out and he's going to be, well, yeah, you killed the nice guy, so you get me. They're going to basically pick up the mantle where they left off. It's like, great. I understand why you do that. You want the debate and the speech and the ideals of this country to continue. Some of them are going to go on college campuses, even with the potential threat of violence or the certainty of violence in some form or fashion, whether it be moderate or extreme. Like, I understand, but I do understand why somebody like Ben Shapiro, Orthodox Jew, I understand why somebody like him would say, I am going to go do more, I'm even going to go back on tour at colleges, but I'm not going to do outdoor events. People calling him a pussy for, oh, what are you afraid you're going to get shot? Yeah. He said the certainty of him getting shot right now is there. 100% certainty that if he does an outdoor event, somebody will try to kill him. Well, okay, well, is he a pussy for that? No, he's right. If he goes and does an outdoor event, somebody is going to plot to kill him. Because he's not low-hanging fruit. He's not. He's not low-hanging fruit. He is the co-founder of the Daily Wire. And a lot of people loathe him. And I'm just saying, like, say what you want about him. It's not, you don't shoot the man. You don't do it. You don't do it. It does nobody it does nothing, nobody no good. Okay? Like, I get it. Like, somebody like Milo Yiannopoulos coming back, he's probably not going to get shot. Because ultimately they can cancel him at events by simply threatening to protest or shouting him out. There's a lot. Ultimately, he's not as big as Ben or Tucker or Charlie. He'll create a nuisance. He'll come back in some form or fashion, and he has every right to. He has every right to speak his mind. Ben's too big. And unfortunately, he would get shot. And that's a horrible thing. That's horrible to realize that him going out and speaking in a public event in an outdoor space would lead to his death. And that's disgusting. That is not what this country's about. I don't care if you like him or hate him. It basically, that should not be the case. That man should be allowed to go and do outdoor venues, whether you agree or disagree, or you simply want to hear what he has to say, or you have a question, or you want to debate him. It should not lead to, I don't like him before he dies. That should not be the case. That should not be the scenario. It shouldn't happen. Period. So he's not a pussy for not doing outdoor events because he has a family. He shouldn't just, somebody's in, look at it this way. I have a family. I have a wife and kids at home and a company with employees that rely on me. So I'm going to, with the certainty of death, I'm going to go and do this outdoor event, get shot, and now my wife is a widow and my kids don't have a father. Or you can be like, you know what? That's not a good idea. It does nobody no good. I don't need to be a martyr when we already have one. Why don't I just go do the events, but in a more secure fashion? That would make sense to me. He's not a pussy. He's just thinking of his family. And he has other priorities. And I understand what he's saying. So I get it. He's not a wimp. All right? He's received death threats, anti-Semitic death threats. He gets that. All right? He knows what's at stake. He knows what's on the table. So he's not a pussy. But ultimately, like, some people got canceled. Some people got fired from their jobs for saying really heinous shit. And it's like, you got put in adult timeout. Jimmy Kimmel got fired for a joke that ultimately didn't really land with the internet. And that's it. Do I think he should have been fired for that reason? No. Never. Maybe he'll find something better. I mean, what do I look at it as? I look at it as an overcorrection. But ultimately, all these people that I listed, Destiny, Ben Shapiro, Milo Yiannopoulos, Tucker Carlson, Jimmy Kimmel, Louis C.K., Shane Gillis, Roseanne Barr, what do they all have in common? They're still alive. That's what they all have in common. They're all waking up. They all woke up today. Every single one of them woke up today and is breathing air. And they have something to do. That's what they all have in common. They didn't get shot. Destiny didn't get shot. And neither did Jimmy Kimmel. They had employers. And their employers decided it wasn't worth it to have them around. So they got rid of them. But I'm saying but they're all alive. So while they're alive, can we please all come together, sit down and have a conversation? And now I don't need to have a conversation with you. But maybe I need to have a conversation with a friend of mine or somebody else and just kind of sit and see if there's a little bit of something that we can chop up about. If we can do that, and then while the officials, the police, the fire department, the federal government, local security, the people that are getting extreme and protesting and blocking the roads and kicking doors down at college events and climbing up on roofs with sniper rifles, we should probably focus on enforcing law and making sure that these people are not hindering the First Amendment. If we can do that, and get those psychos out of the way so that the people who want to talk and go about their lives have the chance to do so, I think this country has a shot. Because I can tell you it's not looking good in the European Union right now. And I don't want to go down that route. So please, can we all calm down to some degree and figure out a way to get through this so that I don't see another death on Instagram? That would be nice. Thank you very much. You can find me on Instagram at @positive_sarcasm. Email me, contact me there. You can email me directly through my website, contact section, or positivesarcasm@outlook.com. You can find the video version of this podcast on YouTube and on Rumble. Just look for Positive Sarcasm Podcast. Or if you are an audio fanatic, anywhere where podcasts are available, Spotify, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Podcast Addict, Apple Podcasts, basically anywhere, it's all there. Okay, I'm not big out there, but I'm trying to spew stuff that makes sense in some fashion. So I hope that we can talk a little bit, because these notes, these notes don't just come out of nowhere. I really hope that we can start moving forward in a more positive direction. So don't be celebrating death, because all you're doing is celebrating. There's people causing destruction, and people celebrating it. I am a person who doesn't like to destroy things. I like to create. I like to create stuff. I celebrate when people create stuff, and I celebrate creating stuff. So I'm the complete opposite of everybody who celebrates it and causes destruction. They are no fans of mine. And that's why a person like Destiny disgusts me. However, I don't believe the man should be shot for what he believes in, or what he claims to believe in. Thank you for listening, watching, and subscribing, and I'll talk to you all next week. Recorded here from the Spare Parts Studio alongside New Hampshire's beautiful, sunny seacoast. For entertainment purposes only. This has been a Positive Sarcasm presentation.